Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, and whenever we have Meals on Wheels of San Diego County on, hold on to your seats, get your seatbelts strapped in, because there's a lot of information we're going to be chatting about. Joining us today is Rye-Ji Kim. She is the manager of the Metro San Diego Service Center for Meals on Wheels San Diego County. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
How long have you been with Meals on Wheels?
I've been with Meals on Wheels for about 3 years now.
About 3 years now. Okay. Joining Rye-Ji is her colleague, Tim Ray, director of the East County Service Center for Meals on Wheels. How you doing there, Tim?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having us today.
Of course. How long have you been with the organization?
Like Rye-Ji, I've been with the company for 3 years.
3 years also. Okay, good. We'll call that veterans, and so to speak, in that area. Rye-Ji, we'll start with you, and you can jump in on this too. In general, what's the overall mission of Meals on Wheels San Diego County?
So Meals on Wheels San Diego County is looking to empower our seniors by nourishing their bodies, minds, and spirits. So primarily we do that by delivering meals to them Mondays through Saturdays, and also providing that with a smile.
Right. And Tim, with this, and having been honored to interview you folks many times over the years, it's just not meals, it's nutritious meals, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. We have a dietitian, full-time dietitian. So we provide heart-healthy and diabetic-friendly meals for people. And like I said, aside from the healthy meals, we provide the smile with our volunteers as well.
Right, exactly. And, one of the things we've chatted about over the years, and it's just the way it is, and not a great story on it. It seems that a lot of the seniors these days are struggling as they've never had before. We know one of the fastest growing populations of the homeless are seniors. You guys know that as well as anybody. Deacon Jim Vargas is one of our favorite guests on this aspect of it. But what you do is just so important. Besides giving them a nutritious meal, you provide them with some connectivity to humanity. Do you not? Talk about that, Tim.
Yes. Many of our clients are actually isolated. They might not have family or friends. If they do have family, the families probably don't live locally. They might live out of state. So we actually are the individuals that are providing that connection with the outside world. Our volunteers, they're showing up every day to check on them, to make sure that they're okay, engage in conversation with them. So our volunteers might be the only person that the individual actually sees for that day.
Right, and that for some folks that just can't get their heads around that is a big population that happens with and all that. And so, Rye-Ji, May is Older Americans Month, OAM, correct?
Yes.
So, how do you define older? Do I fall in that category? And I'm happy to fall in that category, by the way.
So I think it differs by organization, but I think technically for Older Americans Act, it applies to seniors 55 and older.
55 and over? Okay, I passed that threshold a while ago on this thing. But it's just a number, as we all know, and all this. But I think in all seriousness, Rye-Ji, as Tim is talking about, this is a critical issue, not only to provide them with healthy meals, obviously we know it sustains them and so forth on that, but that contact as well. And the people that deliver the meals, they're all volunteers, are they not, Rye-Ji?
Yes, we have hundreds of volunteers, thousands of volunteers. And I was just counting today, I believe that we have daily on a weekday about 130 routes. And so the vast majority of those are done by volunteers. They're taking time out of their day. They put it in their calendars, right? And they're showing up for 2-3 hours and hand delivering meals to people's homes.
Right. Now you're in the Metro San Diego Service Center. What does that cover?
So we are located in Old Town, and we cover from the water out to Lake Murray, down from Mira Mesa down to about Encanto.
Right. And how many volunteers do you have just in your service area?
So we have registered about 700 volunteers.
Just
right
in
now.
your area?
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. And then do the volunteers, they're paying for their own gas, correct?
Yes.
They're paying for the maintenance on their cars, right?
Yes.
Which is terrific in that aspect. So how do they get the meals? I mean, do they physically go to a certain center to pick up the meals? Are the meals delivered to them? How does that work?
So our meal center is located in Little Italy,
Okay.
and it's that one meal center servicing all 4 service centers. And so we have satellite locations throughout, in different neighborhoods that are closer to the seniors that they'll be delivering to. So we have about, I believe, 7 sort of different locations that the volunteers congregate at. So, in Point Loma, Serra Mesa, by SDSU, so that it'll be closer to the volunteers and the seniors.
Right. We're going to get into later in the interview some of your favorite stories and some of the cool people that you work with as well. We'll switch over to Tim here. We're chatting with Tim Ray, is director of the East County Service Center for Meals on Wheels. We're just chatting with his colleague Rye-Ji Kim, the manager of the Metro San Diego Service Center. Where does your swath start and end in East County?
Sure. So the East County Service Center is located in El Cajon. We service La Mesa, El Cajon, Santee, Lakeside, Alpine, and then what we call our backcountry. So we go out as far as Boulevard.
Wow.
So there is a large stretch of territory that we actually cover.
Right. Exactly. And again, do the folks, when they do the delivering, are they delivering twice a day? How does that work?
Well, we provide a fresh prepared lunch.
Right.
We provided a frozen entree that can be heated up in a microwave or an oven, or it can be delivered as a hot meal.
Sure.
It's both meals are delivered at the same time to the client.
Right.
In the case with what we call our backcountry clients, we actually deliver it once a week. So we do what we call a 7 meal pack,
Nice.
where we provide 7 frozen entrees, 7 beverages, 7 rolls, and 7 snacks.
Right. So in that case, if you're delivering it to Drew, who's out in Boulevard, would you literally go in the house and put it in the refrigerator for me, or how would that work?
Yes. So with regards to our clients, if someone is not able to come to the door, we have the permission to actually enter into their homes and making sure that we put the food away in the freezer and the refrigerator for them.
Right. Exactly. So we'll chat with you on this one. So be thinking about this question because it's going to come right back to you,
Okay.
Tim. Rye-Ji, what are some of your cool experiences? I mean, we could spend 5 hours talking about
Right.
those, but does any come to mind, Rye-Ji?
Well, the talk in the office this week is about one of our clients who just came back from open heart surgery.
Oh my.
And, our volunteer found him a month and a half ago. He would not come to the door as he normally does, and he loves to chat for a good while. And so this was quite unusual for him. And he was talking on the phone with a volunteer and saying, "I'm on the floor. I don't feel well, but don't call 911." And that, puts us in quite a pickle.
It does.
It does. And, there was a lot of back and forth. We had the office staff, call in as well and just trying to figure out what is going on. And so we finally convinced him we have to call 911. And he had emergency heart surgery that day. And so he's,
You saved his life.
Yeah, we did. And, and sometimes, I'm afraid of overstating what we do, but we truly saved his life.
Well, I think you're really understating it because I think you save a lot of lives, that you don't know what that is with the person's mental outlook. We just had a huge talk about mental health in our region, in our country, in the world for that matter. And we know what you're doing. It helps that. We're chatting with Rye-Ji Kim, she's manager of Metro San Diego Service Center for Meals on Wheels San Diego, joined by her colleague Tim Ray, director of the East County Service Center. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlossberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for 60 years. What are some of your favorite stories, Tim?
Well, I have to say what Rye-Ji had indicated, that happens quite regularly. So our volunteers are heroes. I'm going to come from a volunteer perspective. because I had a volunteer that approached me and had noticed that many of their clients are hard of hearing. And when they would go to deliver to them, they knock on the door, they couldn't hear them. So they'd be, knocking on the windows to get their attention. And she noticed that they didn't have doorbells. So she approached me and she said, I would love to just go ahead and purchase doorbells for my clients. And I said, you know what, let me reach out to the community, see if Meals on Wheels, and we were very fortunate in East County. We reached out to the El Cajon Rotary Club, and they actually donated doorbells. So we were able to go ahead and actually install doorbells for people that don't have doorbells. And people would think, well, it's a doorbell. It means a lot to our clients because it's their way of making a connection for our volunteers to reach them so that they, meaning the clients, it lessens anxiety that, did I miss my meal? Because I can't hear. In this case, now they know, the doorbell and the volunteer is going to be there to be able to deliver their meal.
Right. We come back from break. Tim, I want to chat with you and Rye-Ji about, is there a shortage of, there's not a shortage of seniors in need. I'm sure that's not the case, but is there a shortage of volunteers? Can our folks, step it up on our end? What else can we do besides being a volunteer and driving? Could we, donate stuff and all that aspect of it? And then again, whatever things we think you think that we can help with, we want to be able to do that when we return chatting with our friends from Meals on Wheels San Diego County. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show here on Mission Fed Credit Union's beautiful studio in Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed's been doing great things for San Diegans for 60 years, chatting with our friends from Meals on Wheels San Diego County for more than 60 years. I think 63 years to be exact, have been delivering hundreds of thousands, if not millions of meals to those seniors in need, and it just doesn't stop. It just continues, and the lives they've saved and the smiles they've contributed is just absolutely phenomenal. Let me start with you on this one. Tim, we talked right before break. Is the need, for drivers still out there because we got seniors that need meals that can't get meals delivered to them?
Absolutely. I mean, Meals on Wheels last year, we served over 4,000 clients, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There are so many people that are underserved in the community. And in order for Meals on Wheels to reach those people, we rely heavily on our volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are retired individuals. So we love to tap into that population of people. But in order to reach more people, we rely on having more volunteers, as well as the donors. I mean, our donors are Meals on Wheels. We subsidize 60% of the food and packaging cost through donations. And it's our donors that help us keep the same price that we've had for over 16 years. Even with inflation, the way it is, we rely heavily on our donors to be able to allow us to provide affordable meals to our seniors.
Right, exactly. And Rye-Ji, I love the story. Tim was talking about with doorbells and all that aspect of it. You would think, well, I can understand donating, maybe gas cards to the drivers, or do, free, auto checks for the drivers so their cars, can run. But doorbells, that was an interesting one. Are there other things that people wouldn't think of that the seniors would need?
First of all, I want to say Metro is very jealous of the doorbell, Operation Doorbell. But, something that we just started, I believe last week, is something called Friendship Fund. And so what we are noticing, when we're out doing deliveries is, volunteers will tell us, oh, this senior needs a microwave. This senior needs, help, straightening out their railing or something like that. And we are quite limited because we want to make sure that the donations go for meals.
That's right.
And so then what we just started was this Friendship Fund, and you can find it on our website. But basically, it's a special pool of donations that will go specifically for items, household items that are going to be for personal or household use, and will just make such a big difference in the lives of seniors. So, I think we had just fixed someone's patio door.
And someone needed a refrigerator.
And a refrigerator. Yeah. I mean, these are amazing things that our volunteers are helping us do.
But you bring up an interesting point in the cases we were talking about, sort of a handy person, right? Who can fix the rail of somebody, who, you don't need a new refrigerator, but you need a new compressor. And I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about, which is, I guarantee I don't know what I'm talking about in this aspect of it. So that would be a great call to say, hey, if you're a handy man or handy person, I guess what they call them these days, we can use you, because there's about some homes here that this person's, door is, sticking, or this person's X, Y, and Z. Has there been a call for that type of help?
I don't know about that specifically. I know that in the past, and, this might be before my time, before pandemic, but I think that there was a team of volunteers who were going and helping fix light bulbs and all sorts of things. But, with the pandemic, lots of things changed.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we should gin that one up again, and so forth. But there's a lot of people that say, I don't really have the resources to make a donation. But I certainly can use my tools and all that business to help in that aspect. But I want to go back to that point, and maybe you can address that, Rye-Ji, and you can jump in, Tim, on this. It's a common refrain. We've been doing this show since 2007. There's no such thing as a donation too small. Is that correct?
Of course. My goodness. And it really is just the power of the community that really sustains us, because we have volunteers as young as in their teens. They come with their parents.
That's right.
And volunteers all the way up into their 80s and 90s, and they give what they can afford. And sometimes that's time. Sometimes that is, some change. Sometimes that is, stock donations.
Right.
It runs the gamut, but it all comes together.
Right. And Tim, can you break it down to say that, each meal costs $2.50 or costs an X amount of money? So if you donate 100, you're, pretty much providing 100 meals, or there's no metrics that.
Sure. I mean, our lunch and our dinner combined is $7.
Okay.
So it's $7 for someone to get a fresh prepared lunch and also a dinner.
So a meal a day.
So I would tell people, if you're looking at it, say, okay, if I donate $200, I'm actually adopting a senior to ensure that they're getting a nutritious lunch and a dinner every single day of that month.
Yeah, right. And I think that's what's so great about donors. They love to see that, is that, okay, I get it. We have our friends from the San Diego Food Bank on quite a bit, $1 5 meals and all that, work in that area of it. So you can say, yeah, I know, that's it. I don't need to have Bill Gates' money to help, X amount of folks. And I know my friends at Starbucks probably hate me saying this, but, one last Starbucks is now a meal for the day and all that business. And I'm not suggesting you give up your Starbucks on this. We're chatting with Tim Ray. He's the director of East County Service Center for Meals on Wheels San Diego, joined by his colleague Rye-Ji Kim, the manager for the Metro San Diego Service Center. I'll start with you on this, Tim. What can our listeners do to support your efforts?
obviously, we would love your listeners, if they have the time, even a route a month, that's 1 to 2 hours of your time to come out. And I know that they're going to get more out of the experience than the client. There is this relationship, this bond that is created. We have clients that when a volunteer takes off a day, we get a phone call in the office. The clients will call and ask, Ron didn't deliver today. Is Ron okay? And it's reciprocated. If we go ahead and a volunteer will call us and say, hey, I have my route sheet for today, and I see Mrs. Smith is not on the route. Is she okay? So it's this wonderful bond that is created between both the volunteers and the clients. And like I said, we are so blessed that we have a community of people, organizations that are out there that are able to donate money to ensure that we can provide an affordable, nutritious meal for people that are in need.
Yeah, without question. Rye-Ji, what else can we do?
Well, I'm going to harp more on the volunteers thing because we were just talking about this. So we have something called Adopt a Route. So a company, an organization, we have, I'm going to just name some names, MDG. It's a design group downtown.
Please.
They come out every week. We have a real estate team that comes out every other week, I think. And basically they rotate their team members through. And that gives us one less route that we have to worry about filling with an individual volunteer. But that team is adopting that route, adopting the seniors on that route, and also taking responsibility for those deliveries. And that helps us so much. So even if you don't want to do it just on your own, get people on your, team or your organization involved and have everyone share in.
That's an absolutely fantastic idea. Or if you want to take it even down to the neighborhood level, listen, if you happen to be active and your street likes to do a bunch of stuff, why don't you get your street to donate, driving 1 week or something like this? Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. Many opportunities on this, and we know that's the bread and butter of what you folks do. Rye-Ji, what's the website if people want to get engaged with you?
It's very easy. San Diego mealsonwheels.org.
Well,
you'll find everything there.
Well, listen, what you guys are doing is, again, we talked about the life-saving with that one gentleman that had to have heart surgery, but, just the fact that you're there every day. Hunger doesn't take days off. It's 365. 24/7, and bless your heart for doing this. So encouraging our listeners, if you can volunteer your time to be a driver, great. If you can only deliver, by giving some money, a paycheck, part of your paycheck each month, that's great. If you're a handy person and you want to help someone, there is so many ways you can go ahead and do this. So we cannot do enough to support your efforts. So Rye-Ji, thank you so much for joining us, and Tim as well. And we know we'll have you back on the show sometime down the road.
Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to share this with the community.
Yeah, we cannot do enough to support Meals on Wheels San Diego County, as we've been chatting with Rye-Ji Kim, the manager of the Metro San Diego Service Center for Meals on Wheels, joined by her colleague Tim Ray, director of the East County Service Center. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.